So you have this machine, and you want to be able to use the machine to calculate things and do things, and also to show the results of those things, but you don't really know how because you don't really speak computers, so you need a translator, and that's the way that the operating system is born. Okay, so that was a really short version. Let's get into the meat of it because operating systems are actually kind of cool, and I want to talk about them a lot today.
I can see you in the crowd. I can see you 'cause your heart lights up the sky. I can hear you screaming loud, roaring like the thunder in the night. Yeah, everywhere I go.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Hi, neighbor. I just lost like an inch on my height and actually had to move my tripod down a little bit. So the operating system is how you are able to communicate with the hardware, and the hardware is able to communicate back with you. What ends up happening usually is you're sending a command, like a command to read input from your keyboard, or a command to be able to read out data to your screen, input to be able to translate between what you want to do and what the hardware can do. Because we don't speak binary. I never really realized what the operating system truly did until I took a system software class like junior year of college, and we went over how software is able to communicate with the system. We talked about processors and compilers, and we talked about operating systems. And my professor said that he kind of wanted to make the operating system from hell, which would do a bunch of unexpected crazy crap and would be purposely poorly programmed so that it would be a nightmare to interface with. One of the big examples that he gave of the operating system from hell is the dialog box that says yes, no, and maybe. Because we actually do see something similar to that a lot of the time. The dialog boxes that say yes, no, and okay, or yes, no, and cancel. What's the difference? I don't... What happens if I press one versus the other? I'm confused. So, if the operating system is programmed poorly, then it is a bear to interface with, and it's also a bear to do anything that you want to with your computer. Operating systems tend to get the most flack because they're the most visible thing, but they're also really freaking powerful and skilled, kind of like press secretaries in a successful West Wing. During my system software class, we actually programmed in a language called assembly, which deals directly with your registers and memory, and you have to send actual command input to the operating system to tell it what you want to do with the hardware. So if you wanted to print something out to the screen, it took several lines of commands to be able to get the input, send the command to the operating system, which would then take care of sending the data onto your screen. And it was a long and arduous process. Could you imagine if operating systems were made in that language? Or if any program were made in that language? Oh. Being able to interface with the operating system is hugely important. You'll be able to see that in any program language that you do, whether or not they are a visual language. You see it really clearly in Visual Basic because of the fact that Visual Basic is a Microsoft product, as is Windows, so the two interface really easily. Whereas if you're programming in LabVIEW, being able to communicate with your monitors to change a display or resolution is kind of a pain, and you usually end up using a Windows utility or library to do it because they just don't interface quite as well. Operating systems allow your user interface, your graphical, your GUI, to mean anything. All the little button clicks that you do wouldn't do anything if it wasn't for the operating system, which is why operating systems come with their own GUI so that you can actually graphically communicate to your hardware. And that's why you have all these visual components to make the operating system easier to communicate with. And operating systems, again, get a lot of flack, but I want to kind of talk about why they're cool. For instance, if you run a bit of sketchy software that asks for permission to use something on your computer that your operating system thinks is a little fishy, you will get a pop-up. And you see this a lot in cell phones when you go to download an app. But that pop-up isn't the app saying, "Hey, hi, how are you? I'm asking permission." That pop-up is your operating system saying, "Hey, this piece of software is asking for permission to be able to access your contacts. Do you maybe not want that?" Actually, no, operating system. I'd prefer if that didn't happen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, though, operating systems kind of save our asses sometimes. They will flag if an application is asking for administrative privileges to run. They will flag if you are installing something that's going to ask for certain privileges that maybe you don't want to give to it. And phone operating systems do this a little bit better than computer operating systems. Usually you just get the dialog box that a piece of software is asking for administrative privileges. You don't always necessarily know what it's going to do with those privileges. For instance, I installed a piece of software called IOBit, and it's this kind of general cleanup suite. And you can use it to scan for any leftovers of an application after you remove the application. So any like extra files that maybe didn't get cleaned up during that install. This piece of software has the ability to go into your registry and clean it out of any possible leftovers of a piece of software, which is kind of cool until you consider that a piece of software just had the ability to wipe out a section of your registry. And your operating system, when you go to run that piece of software, is going to say that this piece of software is asking for admin privileges. And you need to be careful of who you give admin privileges to because they could wipe out your registry, and that would be terrifying. Thankfully though, operating systems often create backups of your system in the case of an install or an uninstall. If you actually check your event viewer and go through an installation of something, you can see a whole lot of processes handled by your operating system, making backups to make sure that if things break, it can generally roll it back. You'll see the same thing when an operating system has a big update or an upgrade. It makes a backup because when it updates, it completely just puts that, green colored screen is usually what Windows uses, saying that it's, updating with the percentage, so you can't see what's going on because the GUI isn't available right now, and it's going to make a backup of everything, and it's going to be making a lot of changes. Operating systems are really, really powerful. If your operating system is developed shittily, it doesn't matter how powerful or fast your hardware is if your operating system can't make use of it, or if it keeps crashing, or has communication problems, or if it's developed in a way that its interface is crappy to use. Operating systems, the thing that kind of secretly runs your computer and can either be great or terrible. Kind of like government. My lipstick is like gray purple. It looks like I belong with a member of the Addams family. So it's been a minute. Actually it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I released a video. I want to make this a series of doing little like crash courses on things software related because I wanted to do that with data structures and I started that some time ago, but I don't have the resources and information to make sure that when I'm talking about this kind of stuff that I'm not going to say something incorrect. All the resources from my professor for that class are kind of missing. So instead, I'm going to talk about the stuff that I actually do have the resources on, like the system software stuff, because I find that super interesting. And maybe I'll talk about some history of software as well, because history is pretty awesome. By the way, I'm moving my hands around a lot and you can't see it because my viewfinder is cutting me off down in this area. My hands are, yeah. So, I hope that this kind of stuff is useful and helpful. If there's something specific that you want me to cover, send me a message or leave it in the comments, because if there's something that's in high demand, I'm far more likely to tackle that first, especially if it takes me like a week to get out one of these videos. I'm going to put the high demand thing up front. So, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I Hope your days are filled with wonder and adventure, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye! Oh, Windows Defender, potentially unprotected. Why didn't you warn me? Instead, I've been getting notifications about some kind of privacy settings on Windows ever since they, changed some things. That's nice. Oh, what's snapping? To return to MMC and check the status of the snap-in, click cancel. If you choose to end the snap-in immediately, you will lose any unsaved data. If the snap-in's not working, wouldn't I lose unsaved data anyway? What's not working? What is it, though? What's MMC? Tell me your secrets. Installation. Wait a minute. Installation started. Windows has started installing the following update. Oh, it's an update. Okay. Wait a minute. Is that... Wait. Hold up. Windows. Hold on. Windows has just installed an update to the Candy Crush saga. This not only means that I now have Candy Crush, an updated version, no less, on my computer. It also means that I had Candy Crush Saga on my computer beforehand. Why is this a thing that I have to go through? Screw you, Candy Crush. You are on my hit list. Can I get rid of Candy Crush? I mean, it's not actually in my install list. Let's see if we can get rid of it. Well, it's gonna be a long list. See, it's from the App Store, and it was installed automatically. So apparently it's not, like, physically on my computer, which is weird because, like, Steam games are physically on my computer. But Candy Crush, oh no. Where's the App Store? I mean, in all honesty, if every single game that was on my computer was on the uninstall list, that would be a hella long list, and I don't think I want to deal with that. Wow. That's a lot of Candy Crush. Okay, so this product is installed. Can I not uninstall it? No, I don't want Xbox. Why would I want Xbox?
Xbox! Xbox! I'm goddamn upstanding with this right now. Xbox!
Xbox. No. Why can't I get rid of it? I just want it gone. No, no! Windows, I don't want to restart. No. No. Go away. Not now. No, I don't want to sign in. I just want to get rid of Candy Crush. You install this thing and don't give me the option to get rid of it. How dare you? How dare you? Screw you too, Windows. Screw you in particular.